All right. Hi, everybody. Welcome to the inaugural episode of the Marginal Advice podcast. I do want to say, before we kick off, your logo making is really on point.
Oh, no. Please don't start this with a compliment. I will leave the call.
Why?
I don't like those. No.
We're the same in that respect. I'm so bad at accepting compliments. I'm like, do you really mean that? Are you sure?
And if you do, feels like that's wrong. Just thought you should know. Hi. This is Jordan. I don't actually know where I am. I'll put myself on the right. Here you go, Jordan.
We'll get used to specific positioning.
Yeah. I'm Alex. Welcome to two guys talking over Zoom. We really wanted to revolutionize the podcast format here. Really want to go for something new.
If anyone, you can blame it on me, because I don't like to leave my house. And so, a lot of other podcasts, they do, they have a studio space, they're fancy. Imagine leaving home.
I mean, I've moved to LA for a job 9 months ago. Let me tell you, I've been to Target.
You've been to the office, right?
Yeah, excuse this gallon of water. I don't bring it places. I just like water. I go to the office, but I don't have to drive there. I just walk. So, no, you and me, we don't go anywhere. So why would we meet up for this? We had the option to, but we didn't.
We did. Maybe if this ends up being something that we think would benefit from that, and people are watching it, it's something that can be explored in the future. But for the time being, I feel like most people, and when I listen to podcasts and a lot of YouTube videos as well, I'll do it when I'm working out. I don't even see the video. I'm just listening to the audio.
Wow.
And at that point, sitting in a room with somebody else makes no difference versus being over Zoom. So
do you get really pumped listening to podcasts, working out? Helps do PRs?
No, not really. Sometimes I get a little distracted from the topic of the podcast. I'll have to scroll back a little bit in order to ensure that I haven't missed something super important, because I'll be kind of focused on, not having a weight drop on my face. But at the end of the day, I usually glean both the information and the gains, hopefully.
Wow. Speaking of gains, we're going to teach you how to not get those. The stock market and all that. But we're not going to be talking directly about that. We are more doing little stories. And this week we'll start off with an easy thing everyone knows. Ease into it. WallStreetBets. So haha, fun little light thing. But then we'll go into maybe some other kind of finance lore.
I think what I would like to, as a whole, should this continue, long-term communicate is being rational about markets as a whole. And I know there's a lot of channels out there that make specific recommendations on stocks, crypto, things that you should be interested in, or predictions on specific time frames at which something is going to happen. There's going to be a crash such and such amount of days out. Now's a good time to buy. And I would like to not do any of that, essentially, because I think it's sort of a fool's errand for the most part. And rather, I think it's more interesting, and it teaches better rationale to discuss events that have happened, that are currently happening, that impact markets, economics, things of that nature, or just funny stuff to look at, like WallStreetBets. Yeah. But without ever making any concrete recommendations about individual securities, crypto, that sort of thing. Because at the end of the day, the majority of people out there making those sorts of recommendations, really, they probably don't know what they're talking about. And it's not necessarily wise to follow that sort of thing. So I prefer to keep it a little bit safer.
Yeah. Oftentimes when they make a lot of those big promises, like you can get 100 times your money today, right now, it's normally followed by, you just got to buy my course just for a little bit. I swear, it's $400 a month, but you will make so much more back. I promise.
At the end of the day, if something sounds too good to be true, it very likely is. And the thing is, that sort of dramatic things that capture people's attention, that say this is the thing to buy right now, that's what generates really interesting, compelling thumbnails for people to click on and gets clicks on YouTube. And so that's why people do it for the most part, compels people to buy courses, so on and so forth. So that's generally the motivation behind it. And I, whether it's at the expense of views or not, would prefer not to delve into that.
I've tried to learn trading. I say, okay, maybe I should. I look at the thumbnail and it's this guy going like he's seen the craziest thing in his life. And then just $300 signs in the thumbnail, 1,000 times, 1,000 times like your money in the thumbnail, just money. I see that and I can't do it. I can't click on it.
You mean you don't think that you can actually just watch the video and make 1,000 times your money?
Well, I watched a few of the videos, and after I 10,000 times my money, I was thinking this is too much, and so I decided to stop watching them. And also, every time I see those thumbnails, I hold myself back from living in the woods. I can't bear to watch.
You hold yourself back from what?
Living in the woods, Wyoming, up in a mountain, just kind of going away, so I never see that again.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was trying to figure out exactly where that came from.
Yeah. No, I just thought I'd live in the woods. I've been really battling with this urge.
Anyway,
yeah, this is a finance, I guess, podcast.
Yeah, so I mean, I've on my live streams every now and again gone into what folks end up calling stonk stock, and I know a lot of people just kind of tune out of that when I talk about it, but maybe there's a handful of folks who are actually interested. And I will say that I wish that me at 20 years old was a little bit more focused on it. I wish that I had put more money into the market quicker rather than holding on to it as cash. Now, obviously, that's easy to say because it's been a bull market for the past, since 2008. But generally, the saying is that time in the market beats timing the market. And so I think that if any people watching this, if we can communicate to them via whatever topics we're covering, that it is something you should be interested in and think about. I think that's a good bit of knowledge to communicate to people.
Yeah, putting all your money in high risk stocks. That's probably not good, as we will see today with a couple of the posts we might be looking at.
Yeah, sure. There is a good, rational, safe way to do it.
Yeah.
But to be aware of it and think about it rationally is a good skill to have that was never, ever throughout high school, because I didn't finish university. It was never communicated to me in high school. Never did a teacher mention, think about investing in your retirement, investing in your future.
No, they don't go over that.
Even though that part is not the very glamorous, interesting part that necessarily compels people to watch, I think just by making people aware of markets, of the investing world, it's something that they're likely to look into and be more aware of, which leads to better practices.
Yeah, just ETFs and generally like SPY and all that, putting money in there. And
VOO for the lower expense ratio, if that's what you're going for.
SPX for the higher expense ratio.
Yes.
But
if you're looking to put a lot of money into options and benefit from futures tax treatment, then yes, you can look into that.
You can kind of put some of your money in that, but all the rest of your savings, you want to put in weekly options, SPY puts at the end of the week. Sorry, I'm a bit distracted here. I think I should mention, running out of time. This meeting will end.
What's the deal with the Zoom thing right now?
Oh, you see that too?
I do. I
thought that was just me. Yeah, this meeting will end in 10 minutes. Upgrade now to save 40% off of Zoom Pro.
Do we need to switch over to Discord?
No. Welcome back to I didn't buy Zoom Pro, so we didn't have enough time to do the whole podcast on that, or even.
I feel like this is a very pilot first podcast episode recorded with webcams remotely. That's very on brand for it.
We should do something else. How can we make this experience worse?
What was it? It was, I believe, was it Cathy Wood on MSNBC or CNBC and they didn't have a paid for version of Zoom, and so it said like trial Zoom over the top of the screen or something.
Cathy Wood or MSNBC?
No, it was on CNBC. It was CNBC that didn't have it, but the irony was Cathy Wood is a massive investor in Zoom, so it was
really
over
funny.
her face of like trial version, but it was not her fault. But it was people were misinterpreting it / just making fun of the fact that it happened.
That is funny. Although I would expect the media company to have a professional Zoom setup.
You would think someone just didn't click the full version button. It was an oversight, I'm sure.
It was probably just a quick, okay, we got to set up Cathy Wood's.
I don't think the CFO of CNBC or NBC Universal or what have you was like, we need to save money. We need to cut costs. We need to not pay for the full version of Zoom.
Yeah.
That'll really save our earnings report.
If I was the owner of NBC, CNBC, whatever station.
You can be an owner. Just own stock.
If I was a founder of MSNBC, I'd go right down there.
They're probably not involved. They're probably dead.
I'd rise from the grave, go down to the news station and say, hey, as the founder of this company. How's your day?
But I digress. Right. Well, if we haven't lost people by not getting straight to the point here on the first episode of the podcast, should we maybe lead into the topic here, which will be in the title, which is WallStreetBets related, kind of talking over some of the most catastrophic losses that have taken place that people have posted over the years, because, one way to make yourself feel a little bit better after losing a huge amount of money is at least to get a lot of karma points on the internet.
Vent a little bit, express, kind of get that sadness and disappointment in yourself out to other people and have them brutally make fun of you for it. Not us, the people on Wall Street Bets.
Yes.
Yeah.
I would not ever directly make fun of anyone. Rather, I would say that, hey, there are safer ways to do this. And here's maybe the lesson that should be learned from this particular action.
Yeah, such as completely gambling away your entire grandmother's legacy.
Yeah, that's rough. So positions in the comments, because all I can see right here is the graph, which goes down over time. But it looks like if he started off with 200,000, he got real high there.
He did.
At one point. Like, that's probably about
that's a few
600,000? maybe?
600.
No, if this is like almost zero. This is almost zero.
Yeah, that's probably zero.
So this is 200,000. So this is about 3 times higher, probably like 600K.
Yeah, that's a good
managed
estimate.
to triple it over the course of I don't know how long, and then dropped it way down, but then almost recovered it all again, and then all the way back down. Can we find what were the? I'm sure that there was some GameStop in here, right?
No, GameStop is for mortgages only.
Let's see. Vroom. Your average
That's
cost,
right.
and what is the current? What's the current cost? Quite a bit less, clearly.
Let's look.
$2.45,
Vroom.
$31 to $2.45. Was that the only thing? Was it just?
I think I read comments saying, man, you put everything in Zoom and you still held. And it might have been, Vroom, not Zoom.
Vroom. I don't know what Vroom is.
Fast.
Yeah, Carvana Rivals. Okay, it must be a vehicle related. So maybe they're one of those like car e-seller type companies, which is very slim margins, sometimes no margins, because they run at it's probably mirroring Carvana, which Carvana was very high a bit ago, and now it's quite low, although it's rebounded ever so slightly. But it's basically using VC money in order to completely try to overtake an industry by running at a loss. But then, okay, all of a sudden you're a massive company, and
you're still
you
not
have to
making
decide,
a profit.
Yeah, you have to figure out, how do we make money now? And it's not that easy. See Uber.
Yeah, did Uber only recently start making a profit, or are they still?
I don't recall if they're actually making a profit, or if they said that like this year they were going to make it happen, and they're focused on achieving that.
A lot of these VC venture capital people who just kind of have lots of money to put into potential startups to potentially get more money back. They get loads of this VC money to try and like undercut other businesses that are selling maybe something similar because they have the capital to start up all of these new features and an app, of course. And when they do that, they're like, wow, look how low we can do our prices. And people, the goal at least, is to get all these people to funnel in. And then once they get there, they raise the prices to a normal level once they have all this customer base, and they can begin to start looking for a profitable way to operate. But if they can't get to that point, they may get to something like Vroom Inc.'s status where they are still trading. They're going down.
What's their current share price?
$1.78.
Oh, no.
Yep. They keep going down.
Let's see. What's the 1 year? Oh, wow.
Yeah, their spring quarter,
my God. They were up at 65.
$65?
Yeah, they were $65 over the summer of 2020 on the big V-shaped COVID rebound. And then...
And this guy bought thinking it would go back up?
That is a common thing that I see a lot, not just on WallStreetBets, but just on the internet as a whole, is like, oh, this stock has fallen a lot, therefore it's got to jump back up at some point. So the fact that it's down 90% means it's like a discount that then is eventually going to go back up. And sometimes
it
stocks
does.
that are hammered down that much, they do rebound, but oftentimes it's just a failing company, unfortunately.
Yeah.
A good earnings report can turn things around. If a company is failing and a good earnings report takes place and they issue good guidance, then you could have something start a new trend.
It's very hard to do, yeah.
And guidance generally has more of an impact on earnings share price outcomes than the actual earnings per share. So you'll oftentimes see people saying, they just absolutely crushed their earnings. They exceeded all the analyst estimates. Why did the stock go down? And it's because they might have just had a windfall in that particular quarter. And then they say, next quarter, things are not looking very good. The quarter after that, it's looking kind of dicey. And people are like, okay, well, I don't want to hold on to this anymore. So
that happened recently with, was it Snap? I know Snapchat stock is just dying, but that happened recently with either Snapchat or another company where they thought they were doing well, but they did something that's kind of rare. They came out before earnings and kind of tried to pull people's expectations. It Walmart? Because they came out and said, hey, we're all all happy here, but earnings might not be as good as we hoped. And the next trading session, the stock.
I think with Walmart, though, interestingly enough, it then came like right back up right afterwards. So it on the short term, with markets, things don't always make a great deal of sense. It's really only when you look at the long-term trends that you see the merits of a company generally start to shine through and reflect in the share price.
Yeah, I would want to say that short-term is almost random.
It can be very irrational.
But there are people who can trade the short term and make a living. I know someone who trade and they make all of their living off of the short terms.
It's very stressful.
Yeah. Sometimes I look and I say, can't do that.
The thing about it is, like, if that is what you do we could do a whole episode dedicated to
both of us being professional day traders.
No, but just more so the things to think about. If you were genuinely wanting to do that, maybe all the things to think about as to why that could be a scary thing to undertake.
Oh, definitely. The guy is certified he actually has to abide by the, I'm not a financial advisor type of rules. Because most people who say that don't have to say that. You don't actually need to say that. What's up, guys? We're going to make 5 Bitcoins today. I'm not a financial advisor. You don't have to say that. You're okay.
You mean the SEC isn't going to come after me for my YouTube video?
No, it's okay. You can make them. Us, though, you can sue us. This is financial advice. Everything we say on this podcast is financial advice. And if you lose any money, you can sue both of us.
I feel like that you could actually get yourself into trouble saying, dear SEC, not real.
Oh, yeah. I'll write them.
Okay.
Let them know.
Thanks. Probably have to fax them, actually, or something like that.
Yeah. I'll send a carrier pigeon to the SEC.
This was impressive though, because this is like, usually it's options that are what causes things to go poorly on Wall Street Bets. This was just holding shares, and it went bad.
He really believed, and I mean, I'll give him that.
Do we have another one to queue up here?
Let's switch. Which one do you have?
Oh, I mean, I just had the Snorkel Guy. This was a very recent and very topical, because Bed Bath & Beyond was kind of the latest big... Big... Bye-bye, baby.
He bought baby.
He did. So this is actually not Wall Street Bets. This is Theta Gang, which is... So Wall Street Bets, if they're the ones who buy the call options and put options...
Theta Gang sells them.
Yes. With buying puts and buying calls, just buying options, the worst you can do is lose all that you put in. When it comes to selling options, you can have incredibly spectacular blowups.
A little more.
Yeah. Fortunately, his account covered everything, but you could have a situation where you go very, very negative and get margin called if you sell. If you sell puts, sell calls, and things don't go your way.
So just to explain, if I don't know if selling puts and margin calls, if that's commonly known. So options are a way to lose your money faster than just buying shares.
I was gonna say, like, we could do a whole podcast on just what are options, but I feel like there are people who can explain it better. You can look up a YouTube video if you want the explanations. So Jenna, if you think about it as a casino, this is the house, and the house percentage-wise usually wins, but someone can hit a jackpot as someone who is a casino goer, and then the casino does have to pay out that jackpot. And if you are the person who wrote the contracts that ended up having to issue the jackpot to someone on the other end, you're out a lot of money. So Theta Gang occasionally has that take place. And even though Theta Gang, I feel like they're usually trying to, it says we are selling options at Wall Street Bets degenerates using Theta Gang strategies. So they're generally trying to be more conservative, but every now and again, someone doesn't abide by that, and so this person, at least their account is substantial, and they had enough cash to cover it, but they sold a bunch of Bed Bath & Beyond puts at $16 when, I don't know, Bed Bath & Beyond was probably in the mid-20s. I think it got up to 28 or so.
They sold puts when Bed Bath & Beyond was squeezing.
They're up here by $100,000, so my assumption is they probably sold these when Bed Bath & Beyond was around... I always see this as Best Buy. I can't not see this as Best Buy,
because
so I'm probably going to say
it's not Bed Bath and Beyond. Best Buy, it's like, it makes a lot more sense. Just like, welcome to Best Buy. And then Best Buy is, I'm curious.
Oh, what their ticker is. Anyway, he probably sold this when it was about 20. This is probably an image taken around when it was at 28 or something like that. So he had his puts had decreased significantly in value, which you want if you're the seller of the puts. And he was in Maui snorkeling. He's like, I'll share more after snorkeling.
Oh no, I haven't seen the second post. How did his swim go?
Oh God, it's just such a, like, you just know that's not, we'll share more after snorkeling. It's like, I feel like he doomed himself.
Oh,
like, the reason why Bed Bath & Beyond didn't have a GME level squeeze is because he said, I'll share more after snorkeling.
Oh, yeah. The market heard that and it said,
that's how it is, though. It always does the exact opposite of what you want it to. So then, yes, the follow-up is Friday Bed Bath & Beyond Snorkeling Guy update. Yeah. So
I like how he is dissociated. He's no longer himself. He's talking the third person.
Yeah.
Best Buy or Bed Bath & Beyond. I've done it. Well, funny enough, Best Buy is BBY, not BBBY. So
okay. No confusion possible there.
Yeah. So, oh man, Snorkeling Guy update.
So account value went from to over $2 million to down about $700,000 from the peak. So the cash, despite still being there, he has to use that cash in order to cover his puts that are now being assigned or going to be assigned if he doesn't just buy them out at the cost. So it's unfortunate.
Yeah, I hope he saw some coral and a
I think I
school of fish.
I saw a message that he left in a comment, and he was still like reasonably high spirited, at least as far as it sounded like. So that was good. And I mean,
really?
Yeah, I was surprised. I don't know that I would be commenting if that had happened to me. I'd be probably too upset to do so. But he still has a decent amount of money. Yes, he lost what would be a significantly life-changing amount of money to most people, but he still has a decent amount of money in the account.
If you start out investing $2 million, you probably do have. You're okay.
And it also, like, maybe this is not his main trading account. Maybe this is his,
this is his play money account.
Right.
Oh my God.
I mean, that's what I like. For me, the majority of my funds that are in the market are in a managed account under an investment advisor.
And then there's a side thing where, hey, let's have a little bit of fun.
Exactly. And I would never dip into that main account in order to fund any losses of the play money account.
You just got to win it back. You just got to, and then you have to take into account taxes.
You do.
Getting any tax benefit out of losing the money.
So that is actually when it comes to, sorry, I digressed a bit with this, but with Theta Gang, if you're doing this in a taxable account, so with selling option strategies, if you are hitting reasonable win rates on kind of safer bets, say you're selling options on SPY, or say you're doing it on SPX or something like that, so you get the favorable futures tax treatment from it. Still, if you're doing it in a taxable account, once you consider the tax drag, even if you are actually making more than you would if you just bought and hold SPY, VU, what have you, when you factor in taxes, generally you end up making less is the only downside to consider if you're looking into an option selling strategy, is consider the tax burden of it, because long-term capital gains is a nice thing when it comes to taxable accounts. So if you can, it is good to be able to it's good to be able to hold something past a year. And I mean, if you're in a state with no state income tax, you save, it's basically in California, you're talking like 33% tax on long-term capital gains because there's no discount on state taxes. That would be the highest rate. If you're in Texas, Florida, Nevada, 20% because you don't have any state income tax that you have to worry about. So it's a significant amount of savings.
Yeah. Florida too.
Washington, Wyoming. Could you believe it? I've looked into these
Wyoming
states.
With the mountains.
Sorry, but that's a bit of a digression. But yeah, this one, I mean, this is a pretty big blow up and recent and topical. So
yeah, it's a recent one. And let's see where Bed Bath & Beyond is back at 878 currently.
Yeah, so basically his puts that he sold hoping that they would go to zero so he could keep his premium went hoping to like $8. Beyond
would go higher. Yeah, it went a little lower.
Yeah. All right, so have you got another one?
Oh, I do. Speaking of Bed Bath & Beyond,
let's go to baby.
Yeah, let's go to the original Best Buy. That was one too many B's. I'll take one away later on.
Wait, is there actually a Best Buy related one?
Wouldn't that be a fantastic transition?
There would be.
Too bad I didn't have one of those.
Oh, no one's blowing their life savings on Best Buy.
Let's go to the original.
This post was deleted by the person who originally posted it.
Oh, that's how you know it's good.
Oh, wait. Do you have do you have the secret follow-up here? Or you're just going straight off the title?
The comments explain it as well. Okay. So this guy took out not one, not four, 3 mortgages on his house to buy GameStop in, of course, the peak GameStop phase. This was almost 2 years ago.
Wait, do we have the average share price?
Then or now?
No, that he
purchased. No, I scrolled through the comments a bit. I did not find it outright, but we could probably extrapolate it from when he made the post.
Oh, this is 1 year ago. I don't know the date.
I know. You know what?
Also, we have to factor in a stock split now on GME. There's going to be a lot of math involved.
Yeah, that's hard.
Oh, man.
And go to that undelete Reddit thing. See if we can get a little glimpse.
You going to like the Internet
past.
Archive?
I'll try that one next, but I'm trying first. Set it, remove edit. You can't hide. Once it's on the internet, it's there forever. Did they get rid of both of these sites?
This guy was like, nobody will see this.
Yeah, I've got no more hope, actually. I can't do this.
Well, I guess we can just, based off the title, say that generally going into triple debt and leveraging your already levered house is even probably not a good idea to buy VU.
Levered. Like leverage. The lever goes like Latin roots.
Wait, what?
That's where the word comes from.
Did you just make this connection?
Yes.
Welcome to Marginal Advice. This is why our avatar for the channel is that.
Actually, going back to the tax burn thing, there is actually a way to avoid most taxes strategy that you can do as long as it's in a per year basis. I do it and it works. I don't have to pay any taxes on any capital gains that I get.
You lose a lot.
Yeah, so what I do is I exclusively lose money.
Right. And then if you lose enough, you can keep applying it year after year.
I don't pay taxes.
Well, it only applies to future gains. You can only write off $3,000 in losses per year against ordinary income.
But it carries over.
Yes, but you can write off $3,000 every year in ordinary income, but then you can apply it to future gains.
Right. So I'm really trying to prep for my future. Any future gains I have by losing as much money as I can now. Then when I get gains in the future.
That's right. Just look at your losses as just not having to pay taxes in the future.
Yes, what a lovely way to say that.
Or
there's nothing. There's something in the window.
Do we need to get a studio?
No, it's just some guy standing there. Don't worry about it.
It's a guy just looking in.
So how was your day?
There's a guy looking into you.
No. Or maybe there is. I would turn the camera, but then I'd have to kind of reset the camera.
You'd have to get him to sign a release.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'd have to make him say that anything he says, they can sue him over because this is financial advice.
No, we can just put it's all him now. He's the only one.
Oh, yeah. He's like from jail.
He's our Patsy.
Jail movie. Patsy?
Yes, he's our Patsy.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah. I would say he's a person who is easily taken advantage of, especially by being cheated or blamed for something. You know, that's just me, though. Also, all right, well, that thought is gone, but I'm going to replace it with this new one. Remember yesterday you said, wow, I got a Streamlight going.
Streamlights.
You said that, right?
What?
Alexa said it, and then you said it.
Yeah. I have Alex A on a voice command to turn on the lights.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, I'm Alex B. That makes sense because I'm on the right. I do be Alex. Anyway, that Streamlight I was talking about, it was I didn't mean it. I just have this desk lamp here.
Yeah.
And that's what I was talking about. I figured I'd forget. I did forget to show you last night, so I'm showing you right now. Oh, I just bumped my monitor and the color went away, but it's back. We are good.
This is a professional first episode.
Yeah. Oh, I forgot to run the intro. Oh, I bumped the camera. It's down. Roll the intro.
Wait, did you actually make an intro?
No, I did not.
Oh, okay. Is it?
That was it. That was the intro. Yeah.
Are you going to have made an intro and you're going to slot it in?
That was the intro. Anyway, do continue.
I was just going to ask if you had another.
Yes, actually, on the note of taking out a mortgage to buy GameStop, here is a link to someone taking out a mortgage to buy GameStop again, but it's somebody else. Yeah, it's a different person. It's not one of this guy's 3 mortgages. This one has a picture. Now, here's the thing. That spike there, I want to know what that is, because as it currently stands, the guy has $788,241 and a quarter.
That's very low on the bar.
Yes, that is maybe, I don't know where 0 is on this graph, but that's maybe 1, 2, that's a fifth and a half of that spike. And so that's quite a few $1 million.
What in the world? So he's up 1.4 million. How much of the account is his second mortgage versus how much is it that he funded with cash on hand?
Yeah, how big a house are we talking here?
And how much are we, when he's at 788,000, is that
what?
A ghost? Is that debt, or is he just down versus where he was previously? Like, there's some unanswered questions in there, but still going from 5.3 to 700 without making any withdrawals.
Yeah. Man, that's like 4 snorkels. That's crazy.
That is several Snorkel Guys.
I can't imagine.
And did he even get to snorkel?
Probably not. He didn't even get experience to see the brain. You play Minecraft. What kind of corals are there? You're essentially
you play Minecraft. You have knowledge of all things nature.
Yeah.
Name every species.
Got corals. Brain.
That fire
coral.
The fire coral, I believe. Yeah.
I gotta say, coral is pretty fire. Every time I've seen it, I'm like, man, I'm glad that's not dead.
There is dead coral though in Minecraft when you take it out of the
water. That
isn't
fire. That is more.
It'd be dead fire coral.
Sad.
I don't know the other names, but anyway, at least Snorkel Guy got to enjoy.
He saw fishes. He
nature.
Had a brief moment of happiness.
This was probably just like sitting watching the screen. As
that went down
just
so
evaporated.
fast. Because if you see, that is the day. That is over one day. So that had to have been within minutes of it going down. Even a minute. I don't know how long.
This was one.
Yeah,
Is
this is
the
within
same
a day. Yeah. So how did that spike happen?
What? This was one day. Oh, it's really hard to tell between the. But
there's 2 graphs with
a.m.
2 different days. Maybe the beginning.
It's hard. It's kind of hard to tell.
He's on the East Coast. Interesting.
It's kind of hard to tell, but still, we assume that the account went from 5.3 million to about 800,000, and that's a lot. Yeah,
that's a little painful. But you know what? I went into this guy's profile.
Yeah,
and this is interesting.
Are you about to do a grand reveal and say this is all fake?
No, this is not all fake. Okay. However, this guy did go against the grain, and this is the follow-up post. I'm happy for him. He actually managed to make money off of his initial mortgage trade. He didn't make the 5.8 million or whatever it was, but he did make several $100,000.
Wait, he went 35K to 5 million.
Then he went to 5 million, which was the previous post.
I didn't realize. So he started with 35K though.
Yeah, which is amazing. 35K to 500 million.
Any of the debts then? Yeah. So did he? Yes, he must have just
definitely
put 35K into the shortest dated, exactly right strike price.
Yeah,
or something
it was
like that.
Friday morning. He bought Friday afternoon calls.
Oh, he did one? He did 0 day to expiry. Yeah. 35K on like the perfect strike.
I guess so. And then it went up. It spiked to 5 million, and then back down to 300K, which was almost where we saw in our previous post that we looked at. And now he made it back. He made it back to 1.6 million. And assuming he didn't lose it, I didn't see any more updates on this particular trade, but
I hope
for him.
I hope
He did
he
it.
walked with 1.6 and
I do too.
and bought shares in less volatile companies.
Yeah, it bought shares in ETFs. Because if you get, well, I suppose there's two. If he already had millions, then it won't make much difference to him. But if you can get 3 to 4 million off of a gamble trade, you're good. That's it. You just put it into a nice dividend giving stock, and you can live off those dividends nicely.
2 to 4% safe withdrawal rate usually.
Yeah.
And also, you don't have to do dividends because dividends can be regarded as tax inefficient.
Oh, you know more. This guy knows more about taxes.
Well, it's just that when you receive a dividend, you have to pay ordinary income tax on that. Versus, that's why so many tech companies, they do buybacks or they reinvest, because it just, instead of a dividend that you're paying out at the expense of your share price going up, your share price just goes up, so you don't have to pay taxes on that until you actually cash out. So you receive your dividend by selling an equivalent amount of shares, essentially, which is part of why now the what was it, the Inflation Reduction Act is doing a tax on share buybacks, because they're saying, look, this is costing us tax revenue, because normally if you issue a dividend, then people are going to have to pay taxes on that. The IRS gets money, but when a company buys back their shares, it's just a tax efficient dividend. But the IRS doesn't get a cut. So that's why they are now taxing buybacks. And that's actually something of note when you see the graphs for a lot of people who post I've lost my account, they have a total wipeout. It's always, there's a spike in the very beginning, and then it's just downhill from there. And it's very often, it looks like that. And I think the reason is that you don't have people who just start at level and go down all the way, or start at level and then go up for a while and then it all crashes violently, is because what happens is you see somebody else on WallStreetBets post a huge gain and you're like, you can make this much money over this short amount of time? You try it out yourself, and the saying on there is always, the first one's free. Yeah. You get a win on your first try at options, and you're like, oh my God, this actually does work.
So I'm going to do it again.
And the next one loses, but you say, no. That's I won. Yeah. I won it for. We'll be able to repeat.
I know how to do this.
The one after that loses. Now you're like, oh God, now I have to make that money back.
Exactly.
But the only way,
the worst mindset. That's how you lose it all.
The only way I can make it back is to keep doing the same risky stuff.
Yeah.
And then you keep losing, but you keep increasing your bet size on the way down because you need to make the money back that you have lost. And so that's why all those graphs look that way. And so the safest thing to do is, if you win on that first one, what needs to happen is you say, I just got really lucky. I'm going to walk away. Yes, exactly. But without knowing that that's likely to be the outcome, of course you're going to keep trying, thinking that it's going to continue to work. So if there's a lesson to be learned from any of this to take home, it's make sure that if you get a windfall, attribute it to luck and know that it's hard to repeat. If it was possible to repeat 100% gains every week, then people would do it. That's why exceptional hedge fund returns.
Not even better than SPY.
Well, no, like there are some hedge funds that have managed to do like 30% for 10 years or something like that. I think Peter Lynch, the Magellan Fund was one of the best performing funds of all time for an exceptional track record of. I forget. I don't want to throw out incorrect percentages, but if you look at Peter Lynch's record on the Magellan Fund, it's like it's not 100% per week. We'll just say that.
Yeah, it's a little slower.
Even if over time. Because sometimes you'll see somebody say, oh, what can I do? I want to target a pretty conservative, I want to make 1% per week. And when like hear it at first, you don't think that sounds crazy. But if you actually do the compounding interest math on 1% per week, you end up probably within like 5 years or something being the wealthiest person on the planet.
That's like it's pretty much the equivalent of, would you like to get $1 million now, or a penny today, 2 pennies tomorrow, 4 pennies the next day?
Right. So
you always want to pick
1%
the pennies
per week is a wild amount, even though it doesn't sound glamorous. But
Peter Lynch, by the way, average day 29.2% annual return.
Okay, that's phenomenal.
It is.
Because what was it? The Magellan Fund started with like $20 million or something and grew into the billions, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
Even if there is a fund that might right now be able to return 30% per year on, I don't remember how many years Peter Lynch did it. No one's going to know which fund it is right now. Otherwise, everyone would pile into it, and then the returns would not be at 30% likely.
Right.
Or it's simply not sustainable in the current economic condition. There's no way to know if that will ever be able to happen again.
Yeah, this was between the late 70s and 90s.
Mm-hmm. So like a 20-year run or so, which to do that over 20 years is insane.
Yeah,
really.
And the market is also different now than it was then.
Index fund investing has also obviously taken off in popularity, and so there are arguments that I see people making that index fund investing will not be as sustainable a way to gain an outsized return going on in the future, because it is seen as such a thing to do. Everybody recommends, okay, make sure you buy an index fund. That's your safest bet. But again, once everybody starts going into a particular trade, it usually reduces the efficiency and the returns of that trade into the future. So who knows? I have seen arguments as to inefficiencies in index fund investing that could end up playing out and causing their returns to lower versus their historical track record. But it's a topic for another day. Oftentimes, the reason why the market ends up doing the opposite of what you expect it to is because, let's take, for example, recently, when things started to go down quite dramatically, say like ending in about mid-June, you had a lot of people thinking, okay, well, this is things have probably peaked. We're on the way down. This is going to get really bad. This is going to get super duper terrible. But if everybody is thinking that, everybody is preparing their positions to reflect that sentiment. And once everybody has already prepared their positions to reflect that, there's not much more room for things to continue in that trajectory until new news arrives that shows that things are even worse off than they were before. It's more the efficient market hypothesis that all current knowledge that is both publicly and privately available is reflected in the current share price of all securities, which there are arguments to be had on either side of why it may or may not be completely accurate.
On the point of buy the rumor, sell the news, that kind of cliche it's kind of, if you think about it, it's what everyone wants to do, because if everyone hears about, oh, this might happen in the future, we don't know, but if you think it will, people invest like, oh, I'm going to get into this first. They haven't announced it yet, but they think it might happen. So I'm going to put all my money in before anyone else does. But when everyone thinks about that, when the news finally breaks that, okay, it is, or it isn't, or something, then it doesn't shoot up when the news comes out, because everyone who's going to invest has already done so because they wanted to get in first. Everyone wants to get in first. And so when it finally does happen, not much reflects it. Yeah. Especially sometimes when there's earnings calls, if it says, yeah, we'll probably beat our last earnings by 5.2%. And then if they actually do, they beat last earnings by 5.2%, it comes out. A lot of times you'll have it go down, which doesn't sound right, because they beat last quarter's earnings. Why would it go down it's because that's what everyone expected. So there's nothing else propping up, nothing else hyping up the stock, I guess, because
that honestly seems companies just beating their earnings nonstop and it being a normal thing almost seems like more of a thing of recent times, which is very strange.
So the only way that they're going to make their share price go up
is
as
a crazy
expected
beat.
if they really, really beat it. So they
Or
beat
issue
their earnings,
very, very good guidance.
right. So they do much better than people even fathom they could. Then people will think, oh, wow, I didn't know that. I'm going to put more money into it. And so what were you about to say?
I was just going to say that all share price on any security is simply a reflection of it's like the summation of all probabilities of future returns.
Yes, because everyone's trying to equate every different possible thing into the outcome. And so all the probabilities people are trying to do, and they put their money in accordingly.
Yeah, so if there is speculation about something taking place, that is a known quantity, and the probability of whatever that speculation is either materializing or not materializing will immediately be priced into the stock at that point. And therefore, if whatever that rumor is doesn't pan out, it will plummet. If it does pan out, it might go up a bit. It just depends on how much people thought that speculation was going to happen or not going to happen. And an interesting way to visualize that is in the share price of a stock after a merger or an acquisition is announced. Take Twitter, for example, when Elon Musk said that he was going to purchase it.
Yeah.
That did not get very close to it. I think it got up to $50 and then immediately kind of started to come down.
Once people thought, maybe this is not going to happen.
Yeah, and even long before he said he was getting cold feet or much further than that announced, I'm just not going to do this, it was well below the $54.20 acquisition price. And if you thought that the acquisition was a sure thing, it would be very, very close to $54.20, because if you know something is a sure thing, then you're not going to be compensated very highly for that risk.
$48 and get it for $54.20, 100%, then you just put everything in there. It's a guaranteed return.
Exactly.
But,
so then if you see another acquisition where it's much more likely to take place, then the share price will oftentimes be much, much closer. So if you look at Activision Blizzard being acquired by Microsoft, there is a decent delta in there between the current share price and Microsoft's price per share that they're going to buy. And that reflects that they think it's more likely to happen than the Twitter acquisition, but that there's some regulatory concerns that the FCC could say, this might be too monopolistic. And that's why it's at where it's at. It's the summation of what market participants think those probabilities are, and that's reflected in the share price versus the acquisition price. And that sort of thing is still active whether or not a company is being acquired. It's just, these are all the things that could happen. This is the money that could be made in the future. This is all the things that we know, and that's what we're going to be willing to pay as a result of the outlook.
Yeah. The $95 was Microsoft deal price, by the way.
Okay.
It's currently trading at almost 78.
Okay, that's actually a much larger delta than I thought. So clearly,
it's up $12.50 from where it was prior. Okay.
Clearly, still a lot of concern with potential regulatory issues, because I've certainly seen other acquisitions that, despite not being finalized, they're much, much closer percentage, less delta between the current share price and the buyout share price. It's a matter of risk is all. Yeah. You're compensated for the risk that you take on. And if there is no risk, well, then the share prices are just going to match, because if there is no risk and there's money to be made, it will immediately be gobbled up by an algorithm that's programmed to take that.
Yeah, and if you take on enough risk, you can go from 35K to 1.6 million. Just remember that.
You can. It's definitely very, very likely to happen.
And that's
too.
the marginal advice.
In exchange for being able to lose the entirety of your $35,000 principal, you can get an absolutely obscene windfall from it.
Yeah.
And that is the beauty of it. When it comes to options, though, it can be a zero-sum game, though. So the someone else had to basically lose that 1.6 minus $35,000 who wrote the options. So in this case, more likely institutions than an individual person on Theta Gang or something like that. But yeah, options can be scary. Just be warned if you're diving into them.
Why did we start this?
Why did we start the podcast, or why?
Yeah, what's the other option?
I don't know. Why did we start this
society
talk about GME YOLO my second mortgage?
No, the podcast. I think because we're getting past an hour.
Good length. Because
you came up with the idea of doing this.
I consume a decent amount of finance content myself on YouTube, on the internet as a whole. And when I started making gaming content on YouTube, is because that was like the main thing that I was watching myself. And so I think that content is always better and more organic when it is something that you are interested in and it's something that you consume yourself. So I figured it kind of made sense as a thing to try out, possibly make total fools of ourselves potentially. And I'm sure that we will end up saying things that are completely incorrect, and someone who is much more knowledgeable will come to the comments and be like, bro, you guys have no idea what you're talking about. That could very well be something that comes up. But at the end of the day, I also think that common sense applies a lot when it comes to investing. And if I could communicate to people how to try to keep their wits about them and not be emotional, try not to FOMO into things, I think that's a valuable thing to know, and also to get people interested, because knowing that it's worth being aware of and figuring out how to invest for yourself is important just as well as it is to be aware of the pitfalls of it. What about you?
Well, there I was at 7:30 at the office working because I still wasn't even close to done to that thing I had to finish. And then I got a message from you just like, yeah, podcast.
So that's why you're here.
Yep. No, I do some work with podcasts and thought it looked fun. Also, we've talked about kind of finance stuff just before. It kind of naturally drifted there when we were just talking over Discord. Mm-hmm. I guess it started around the Gamestop time.
Probably about.
We were like, hey, you see this crazy thing happening? And figured, well, guess we can continue on with that, I suppose.
GameStop truly brought people together, didn't it?
It did. Wow. All these years later, all two of them, still bringing people together. Me, you,
mortgages,
us,
debt.
Mortgages, losing everything,
or gain 35K to 1.6 mil.
Yeah,
that
too. Maybe we can ask this guy to be a guest and show us how it's done.
That'd be quite a pickup. Or guy.
Oh yeah, that's a whole different video.
What a classic.
Yeah, I specifically didn't put that in this list.
Oh, because you think it deserves more?
That's a special one.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I guess thanks for watching episode 1 of Marginal Advice.
Yeah.
Make sure to do all the things that you can do to interact on YouTube or whatever other platforms that I'm not used to at this point, but maybe will be in the future.
Yeah, we set this up on a bunch of different weird platforms that we don't normally interact with.
But mostly Spotify probably is what people are going to be listening on outside of YouTube. So make sure to hit that, whatever you do on Spotify, to follow the stream. Is it a follow button?
Yeah.
I have no idea.
Make sure to smash that Spotify button, whatever that is. Spotify placeholder button. They got playlists or likes or something like that.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Don't know.
Perhaps.
Anyway.
Me neither. I don't listen to music.
Oh, I do listen to music, but I still don't know anything about how Spotify works. So, I guess that's it. We'll see you in the next one.
Good seeing you. Bye.